Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button. And if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. The Night Game. Dog Ears. The Night Game are an American rock band founded by Boys Like Girls lead vocalist Martin Johnson and Australian singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist Kieran J. Callanan. I reviewed their debut self-titled album released in 2018 thanks to a fantastic viewer suggestion, which will be up in the corner for you to go check it out. But now the band's sophomore album is finally out, Dog Ears. Right when this album dropped, I got swept up in a couple requests to immediately cover it. Thank you so much to the people I did, even though this was already going to be a review I did at some point. But let's get to it right now. What are my thoughts on Dog Ears? Let's find out as I review it, track by track. We will start with the singles, with there actually being 6 official singles. Starting off with the first one, Magic Trick, which opens up in a pretty slow, less than interesting manner, just some buzzing synthetic ambience, and Martin Johnson's rather low-key voice. Didn't leave too much to be desired on first listen, but thankfully my expectations were shattered when the first chorus came around. The track blossoms into this punchy, lively synth rock jam with an irresistible bass line on the chorus. Unfortunately, this sonic catharsis doesn't last too long before it reverts back down, and lyrically the track deals with just how easy he's willing to change at his partner's command, calling this so-called change a magic trick. It's not a bad song at all, I can see it warming up to me, but for a lead-off single, it does leave a bit to be desired. The second single, One Phone Call, harnesses a lot more of the synths that were on Magic Trick, but they're a lot more poppy, plunky, playful, even if the track's overall structure is very similar, subdued verses and a pretty satisfying boom for the chorus. The track is a lot more of a natural progression, however, instead of the sudden change of Magic Trick. There's minor build-ups and parts just transition a lot more fluidly. Martin's vocals are very well done here, even though he doesn't soar like I think he could have. It's still well performed. And lyrically, the track is about how he'll help this person out of any dark times, being their one phone call. This is a great track, I love it. The third single, I Feel Like Dancing, certainly is an appropriate title. It's upbeat, fun, nostalgic as well, with these shrill guitars, the pops of the drums, and the falsetto work from Martin. I think the one thing this track is missing, though, that would have made it perfect is a stronger bass line. The track kind of feels a little bit frail without one, but it still achieves its goal pretty effectively. Lyrically, it seems to be this optimistic message about how even if this partner isn't down with him, it's all fine just as long as the rhythm is still going. Pretty fun track, I like it. The fourth single, The Closer, A Postcard from the City of Angels, is a deceptive track on opening moments. The synth waves in the back, plus the sound of waves flowing and crashing, make it sound like it's going to be some sort of introspective ballad to be the closer. Instead, the bass kicks in, the poppy harmonies, the trumpets, the acoustics, and Martin's upbeat vocals turn this track into an anthemic jam. Lyrically, it's about wanting to get out of the big city with the traffic jams, pollutions, and buildings, desiring to be free from all the noise of the city. Fantastic song and an appropriate closer, worth a listen. The fifth single, Companion, featuring ELLE has a very prominent groove from the get-go with the deep bass work, the twang of the synths, and the nostalgic slap of the drum. I especially love Martin's voice here. He soars on the chorus, giving a very passionate performance, and the vocal melody here is just so catchy. ELLE shows up for the second verse and does a fantastic job as well. I wasn't the biggest fan of her throaty, bluesy way of singing, but it's warmed up on me tremendously, and maybe the best performance I've heard from her to date. I really enjoy this track. Give it a listen. And the sixth and final single, Beautiful Stranger, definitely has one of the funkiest grooves on the entire record. The bass actually has almost a bit of a distorted quality to it, but still has a solid melody and drums. They have a good stomp to them. Unfortunately, the climaxes of the choruses don't really propel the track to where I feel like it could have gone, with some sort of grand synthetics and wonderful heights of the vocals. In fact, the chorus barely feels like an amp up at all. Easily one of the most anticlimactic tracks on the record. As a whole, though, the song is pretty vibey, has a bit more of a funk than all the other previous singles, and that's fine enough by me. Now for the rest of the tracks. The opener, The Stiltwalker, is a short 2-minute theatric opener featuring these vocals of different people mid-conversation, which all seem very mishmashed, aided by a hearty slap of the percussion. It's an introduction, it's really just nothing spectacular though. Our Generations opens up with a pretty deep delivery from Martin. It sounds very suave, sexy, as he and this girl share conversations and details over the phone. This chorus is really what sells the track for me, though. It's got a very danceable quality to it, plus an extremely catchy melody. These synths, the guitar work, the bass, plus the claps really throw it back a couple of decades, and it works so magnificently. Lyrically, it's about how love has changed from our parents' generation to ours, and it really is just a sensual love song at its core. Fantastic track, probably my favorite on the record. Hurt So Good is a much slower, calmer track. The keyboard, the submerged bass, and lower vocals from Martin about being at the bottom, being picked on. It almost readies itself to be a sentimental ballad, but it builds up on the chorus to this glossy, vibey track with the snaps of the snares. I do kind of wish there was a little bit more bass presence here. Everything just kind of feels a little bit lacking. Kind of reminds me of some of the more lackluster tracks on Niall Horan's album Heartbreak Weather, and I didn't really care for those there. Doesn't do too much for me here. I'll pass on this one. Dancing in Heaven is the true ballad of this album. It opens with these shimmering synths that twinkle like stars, and this simple keyboard melody which is wonderfully assisted by Martin's downbeat voice that just glides across this instrumental. There are some nice pickups as the song progresses, especially around the 3-minute mark where the strings come in and a beautiful synthetic solo is played. It's an angelic song about hoping this person, animal, it is unspecified, but just hoping they're happy in the afterlife. And with how it's performed, God, it really portrays that lost, empty feeling perfectly. Wonderful track, absolutely worth a listen. And finally, UFO is probably the most spacious and ethereal track on the record. The ambience here is especially captivating when partnered with a minimalistic drum melody and Martin's almost subconscious vocal delivery. It doesn't sound like he's giving it at all, yet that tone fits so well with the easygoing vibe the track emits. The song doesn't really amp up from there at all. It stays at the same tempo with the same feeling all the way throughout its 4-minute runtime, which definitely can get annoying with repeated listens, but it is a fantastic addition to this album. Not the best standalone track, but still good. Overall, I didn't mind this Night Game album. I thought there were some pretty solid beats, mostly great vocal performances, but I feel like there's a lot more diversity on their debut, which is what made that album so unique and special to me. There were bops, but also there were slower tracks to even it all out. Here, there's a lot more one-note material, and most of it is mid-tempo. The slower tracks still work, but there's no significant bops that I really want to return to, unlike the debut. The record here is still very acceptable, but it is just a step down in my opinion. I'm feeling a 7 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.